Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And we are SP Film Viewers.
And today's film that we're reviewing, that Sophie's not seen before, is Reservoir Dogs, which is Tarantino's debut film and was released in 1992.
So the film is the same age as me.
That's correct.
You'd have been a bit older, so you might have been in your cot.
Yeah, I saw this when... Well, the film's rated 18, but I definitely saw it before I was 18, I think. Pretty sure. I know I got like a special edition DVD when I first watched the film, and it was like a limited edition packaging.
Who did you watch it with?
So I watched it on myself.
I know if I was young and watching this film, my younger self, I only liked chick flicks, so to be honest, this would not be my cup of tea whatsoever.
Not on your radar.
No.
So, very briefly, can you summarise what the film's plot is?
Yeah, I think so.
What you took from to understand.
Well, there's 6 guys that have all got different names, coloured names.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like Mr. Pink. And they're going on a bank robbery to steal some wholesale diamonds, I believe, in a warehouse. Oh no, that's where the location is actually, where they go back.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
meeting
a shop
spot
that they steal from a diamond wholesale. And then they've got a meeting spot, which is the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the robbery goes completely wrong and they've got a spy.
As it should be, because there wouldn't be much of a story
if
nothing went...
That's
right.
true.
Yeah.
So there's a hidden spy and undercover cop between the 6 of them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of figuring out who the cop
There's
is.
a lot of pointing the finger about who's the undercover cop.
Yeah, there is. And I think that's kind of the whole plot of the film, is for the viewer to kind of see and try and figure out. And
it's more to do with the whole drama behind that thing, because Tarantino, as is in his other films, he's all mostly about character dialogue. So what he tends to do is way of telling a story.
And then that's giving the viewer thinking of who it could be.
Yeah.
I know there was several occasions where I'm like, it could be you. No, now I've changed my mind. It's definitely not you. It's him.
I think that was probably the intention.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think... I think I was just way off anyways with who I thought it was.
Yeah, because you thought it was Mr. Pink,
Yeah, I did.
who you describe as a sleazeball, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
And very selfish and just...
I'm just thinking of thinking of himself.
Yeah, pretty much. And just, like, thinking about what... Like, he wants to get out of the robbery, like the diamonds and such. Like, I've got some diamonds, but there was an undercover cop, and then, trying to figure out who it was. He was, like, the one that was making it a bigger deal.
Trying to do a blame game for the sake of
definitely
making
blame culture. But that made me think he was the undercover cop, because he was blaming others.
That would have been a bit too easy, though, to have done that way. That's the...
I think I just didn't like the character of him
in particular.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then I was like looking at his face thinking, I know you. I don't know what you're from, but I remember you. And I think he always plays characters that are just not appealing characters. I feel like that's the guy he is, that's his face, and that's, unfortunately for him, he has to get those kind of parts because... And then you highlighted it to me, didn't you, why I didn't like him?
Because he's in... Well, he's sort of noted for being in Adam Sandler films. I think he's one of his friends or something, so he kind of gets involved in those kind of films. But, he hasn't just done stuff like that. He's been in...
I don't know what else he's
been in. I've not seen it, but
exactly.
Boardwalk Empire. He was I'm pretty sure he was like one of the leads. So he's
never heard of it. Do you know if it's got any good ratings or anything like that?
Fairly certain it did pretty well. It had a fair few seasons.
That's because Adam Sandler wasn't in it, holding him back.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Any Adam Sandler film, even if he released a new one and everyone said, this is a box-selling movie, you must go see it, it's the best film of 2020, I would not go see it.
There is supposed to be...
don't.
Thing. No. But it's actually supposed to be more serious, one of Adam Sandler's films.
Can't imagine him being serious.
Anyway, we're getting sort of
sorry,
off topic, but there's
there should be like just a film of Sophie's hate for Adam Sandler.
Maybe one day we could do.
So going back to the actual film we're watching.
Yeah. So we've met some of the characters.
Yeah.
And then we realised that Orange is in fact
the cop, which threw me completely. I was like, well, he's dying. He's this lovely man, and is Mr. White's like taking him under his wing, and this young, because he's the youngest, I think, out of the lot, pretty much.
Yeah, so, it seems to certainly look that in appearance. At least.
And he's like, Mr. White's taking him under his wing, looking after him, and then you've got him bleeding to death, and he's like, take me to the hospital. I'll go to prison. It's fine, but I just don't want to die. And you do. Well, I did. I truly felt for him. Yeah,
but in the way of even saying that, was I don't want to, because obviously he's the good guy. He's like, I don't deserve to be shot by who, it's just a random woman. It wasn't like in a gunfight with the cops or anything like that. It was just how it turned out.
But I think I still didn't twig on that one. I just thought maybe he's just so scared of not wanting to actually die. If you get where I'm coming from. Like, but even if you're a baddie, the thought of actual death compared to being in prison.
Well, yeah, I guess so. You'd rather, some might not be the case for everybody, but some people die than go to prison. But I'm guessing
well, yeah, even though he knew he was a goodie anyways, but, that's how I read it, like, he was just so scared of death.
But I guess because of the fact he's an undercover cop, justice system, I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works, but I imagine if he was to get off scot-free because he's an undercover cop, he wouldn't be prosecuted, and therefore, that's why he wants to live rather than die. But, who doesn't want to die?
I don't think that was a big true sign that he was the undercover cop. I think he played that part quite well. I was convinced he wasn't. I either thought it was Mr. Pink or Mr. Blonde.
The way I was acting.
Yeah, like a psycho. Like... But he was the extreme part character, which made you think maybe he's been so extravagant. Yeah. To cover the fact that he is the undercover cop.
Because as you learn a bit later on, and also before that, as halfway through the movie, where he goes into his background story of him being in prison and then coming with Joe, who puts the whole crew together.
And Eddie, yeah.
Nice Eddie is a friend of his who's also involved in this whole situation. And then when he comes to the end, almost the very end, where they all are in the warehouse, the final confrontation, Mr. White is saying about how it was Mr. Blonde who's the cop. He thinks it's a cop, but then he's like saying, he went crazy and did thing because it was Mr. Orange who was saying about that it was him because he was obviously he shot Mr. Blonde.
Yes, he did. Because obviously of what Mr. Blonde did to the cop which he brought, and then I think he
taken the cop in the boot. They took
boot of the cop car.
But what I mean is the reason that they showed in the backstory of Mr. Blonde was for that bit where he says about where Eddie says at the thing. It's like, well, what he just come out of prison and just said out of the blue that he was, just go psycho. Why would he do that? So that's the whole reason behind the purpose of showing that part of within the film.
And you've been in prison, why would you be then an undercover cop?
Yeah,
You've served your time in prison.
Yeah.
So then you've got Mr. Blue and Mr. Brown, Mr. Blonde. They all kind of died, I think.
We don't see Mr. Blue die.
You just know that he's dead.
You just assume, he's said that he's dead. But you don't actually see him on screen dead.
I'm trying to think of who Is it the same instance with Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown, who's played by Tarantino.
He was the first one to die, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he gets shot in the head.
So, then you've got Joe and Eddie. Eddie's Joe's son.
Yeah.
And they're like
the gang members who sort in the whole hustle.
They sit out
the jobs
and kind of get everything organised, and then
just
send
like
in the
Grand Theft Auto or something like that.
Yeah, and then get the biggest stake of money for doing pretty much nothing. Then you've got Mr. Pink, Mr. Blonde. No, you've got Mr. Pink left. You've got Mr. White. You've got Mr. Orange.
Are you talking about the very end here?
Yeah.
Oh, right, in the room you've got. Well, Mr. Blonde's dead at this point.
Mr. Blonde is dead because Orange shot him.
So you've got Orange, White, and Pink left in the room, but then they have a big shootout, like a three-way shootout.
But I'm just trying to think. I understand that. I think Eddie or Joe are aiming the gun at like Mr. White and Mr. Orange.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand what actually Mr. Pink's doing.
I think he was hidden.
Was he?
Away. Yeah,
that
he was. Yeah, yeah.
Sense.
Yeah, no,
so
he
got, like,
did.
Four
He did.
people
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
at one another.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Aiming the gun at each other's heads, kind of having an argument.
Yeah. So he's hiding away when they think like coward.
Yeah.
And then he runs off with the
diamonds.
The jewels. Yeah.
When everybody else obviously killed.
Yeah, everyone's shot one another. Mr. White's left bleeding to thing, and then Orange.
Orange then tells poor Mr. White
that he was the cop all along.
I really felt for Mr. White on that scene. It was like he was the nicest character, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. It felt that he was like undeserved.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have deserved to die, and he's just killed like Joe and Eddie, who actually he's been working with for a long time, built up a really good rapport, and he's known this kid, Mr. Orange, for like this first mission or whatever you want to call it, and then he's just basically stabbed him in the back, hasn't he, really?
Yeah.
And he didn't deserve that. So then Mr. Pink, like we said, I have a vision in my head, because obviously you don't know how the ending happens.
You hear gunshots as he's running out of things. So presumably the cops who are approaching have tried to shoot at him. You don't know whether he actually did die. That's left to your interpretation, I guess. But
my interpretation, he hasn't died. He's such a sleazeball that he's got away.
Scurried away.
Yeah, and he's got the diamonds and is laughing his head off, thinking, well, everyone else is dead. Who's going to come after me? I'm the lucky one that's got all the diamonds, because he's that kind of character.
And that's the film, isn't it?
I was a bit miffed when everybody had died. It was like, I've just watched however long it is.
It's not that long. It's only
it does flip back and forth, so you have to have a good attention span to kind of keep up with the characters at the beginning and knowing who's Mr. Pink and who's the characters' names are.
Like I say, Tarantino, you do have a bit of flitting back and between thing, but there's normally, as I say, like I've described before, there was a reasoning behind why he's doing these bits in the story to give the characters more depth.
I do feel like, like you kind of get invested in a character and then they die.
Yes.
I'm alright if a couple die, but when the whole film dies, I was just like, I was sat there at the end and I was like, what? I've literally watched an hour and a half, maybe 2 hour movie, invested my time in it, and then everyone's dead. I can't even say, oh, blah blah was such a nice character, because he's dead now. And it was like, so a part of me was thinking, well, this whole robbery is a shambles and it killed everybody. They shouldn't have done it.
But that's the whole thing, because it's a story to tell with that, isn't it?
But who's going to tell it, because they're all dead?
Well, we know, because we're the film viewers, so...
Yeah, but still, so it's one of those where it's like, I do like a fluffy, happy ending, and I know with these kind of films you're not going to get one, but at least one, they could have thrown me a bone and left Mr. White alone.
You can't always have films as they are. There's got...
But you can't have a film where you kill the whole entire cast.
Can in this one.
Well, you definitely know they're not going to do a remake, don't you? Because unless they're coming back as ghosts, because...
No, you can't. Well, you can do a remake. You mean a sequel?
Yeah.
You definitely do a remake if you wanted to. I don't think you really need to, because it's...
you couldn't do a sequel, though.
It's absolutely fine as it is, but I know that doesn't stop Hollywood, but...
Yeah, no, it don't. Unless when Disney get their hands on it, I know they wouldn't, but anything like that, then they'll just change it, won't they? Unless they're going to do some backwards Star Wars stuff on it, where here is what they were like beforehand, which that frustrates me. Because it's like, why are we going backwards? A film...
More character different.
Why can't we just have it in film order, please?
That's how Hollywood works.
No, it's just, what can we do? Because this is such a good franchise and we need more money, which they really don't, to get another film out.
I don't think...
No, I
You've
don't
had Tarantino's not quite that shallow to do that. There's no way you'd...
Well, that's why he killed them all, isn't it? Can't imagine any other movie doing that where they'd kill everybody. Apart from Game of Thrones, but that still, they had most of the characters left.
I think the film had a pretty good soundtrack, don't you think, as well?
Yeah, it did.
Which is, again, another Tarantino trait he likes to have. I normally really enjoy what the music choices he has in there. Particularly like where he's cutting off the cop's ear off Mr. Blonde.
Oh
doing
yeah.
the stuck in the middle. With you.
Oh, that was quite good.
That's
It was a
that's
bit
that's what why I hear that song. That's what I think of him doing the little.
It's a bit sinister though, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's yeah. I kind of like when it's called contrapuntal. I think is the word, where it's like such a contrast from the scenario that's happening to the music.
I did feel a bit uncomfortable because it's like I'm liking the song, but I'm not really liking what's happening on the TV.
Yeah.
And it's like when he cut the poor man's ear off.
Yeah. Which was, I mean, it was slightly graphic, but it wasn't actually, because it actually did cut away, didn't it? It didn't actually see.
Yeah.
You saw the aftermath of that.
I actually cut away as well, so I actually don't know.
Yeah, no, but it does. It doesn't actually. You just hear the sound of it happening. You don't actually see that would be a thing. But this was, well, it's an 18s, but it wasn't as graphic as you'd probably, if it was done today, it'd be a lot more if it was an 18 rated.
No, it definitely would have been a lot worse, I think, if it would have been done today. There'd be a lot more moments where I won't be able to look. Because you know me, 18 films, I'm sure I'm like a baby still. I'm like, oh, if it's a 12, then I'm good on the scare factor and on the gory, gruesome. Can handle it.
I think if this was 1992, as I say,
it wouldn't be an 18.
It wouldn't be an 18 now. It'd be a 15 rated if it was to reassign a category of certification.
Definitely. It's a mild 18, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but in terms of a setting and stuff, it's for a debut film. It's pretty solid, don't you think? On a budget of, I don't know what the figures were for the thing, but for location thing, it works for what it is.
Well, yeah, because near enough there.
Most of it takes with the warehouse, yeah. Apart from a few inside shots and then sort of like the city streets of.
But I think you get that with budget films. I know this sounds really strange, but they have to be more creative, don't they? And sometimes you get some films where you watch them and you're looking thinking, well, like we started that. What was that film that we started with Ryan Reynolds in?
6 Underground.
I'm pretty sure that'll have like a good budget.
Ridiculous budget. It was a Michael Bay film who's done like Transformers and stuff, so
that's why they did the scene for 4 hours on that car scene. And it's like, well, actually we didn't even finish it yet, have we?
I don't think we're going to finish it, to be fair. I gave it a chance with the thing, but apart from the thing, I can't see what the action may have been alright for the car chase stuff, but I think a bit ADHD or whatever it is. Very much quick, flashy colours.
Yeah. I know this might sound really strange, which I never thought I'd really notice, to be honest. I don't know if it's because I'm watching more films, but I didn't like the way the camera was. Like, part of it with the car chase was really good, but then they were doing really close-ups of like the eyes and I'm like...
Yeah, that's what I mean by, like, oh, look, let's cut here, let's do this really quick. And
it was like, I'm not really liking the approach you've taken with that. And it's like, well, actually they've had so much money thrown at that, but yet when you go back to like Reservoir Dogs, how inventive they have to be, I think, makes the film even better sometimes.
But again, I'd say this is maybe a reflection of how films used to be made.
Yeah.
At a time in the 90s, that kind of era where it was the sort of restrictions with how they could do things with more, well, I guess, sort of practical effects rather than relying heavily on CGI and stunts.
But I feel like you get more treasured films, older ones, than you do nowadays.
I'd say this is very important film, particularly for this director, because he's gone on to make like Pulp Fiction.
I haven't seen that yet.
So that's another one for future. Probably not right away, but
yeah. So overall, I did enjoy it. Would I watch it again? Probably not, because I know what happens now. It's one of those I don't think you need to re-watch once you've seen it.
I'd say it's an important film because of like a frame of reference for how to story build and
keep you thinking.
This is a good example of an independent first film.
Yeah, it is, and the low budget and the fact that they've got just basically the warehouse and the scenes that they do in the warehouse, which are now quite iconic.
There's the whole cool aspect behind it, like in the suits and the way that Mr. Blonde is also like a cool character with having his drink while he's just being smug and all that kind of stuff.
they've got definitely good character building within there, like how they want the characters to be. Like even down to Mr. Pink not wanting the name Mr. Pink, because obviously he's such a wimpy kind of character that Mr. Pink really suits him.
Exactly, yeah.
But because of the character it is, obviously that name offends him because that he doesn't want to be that wimpy kind of character. I'm sure there was another colour and he was like...
Oh, I want to be Mr. Black. Because
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, I want to be that instead. And it's like, no, Joe says, oh no, we've got another person on the job who's by that name, so you can't have that one.
He would have not suited Mr. Black. And it kind of gave a comedy value as well to him, being Mr. Pink.
Yeah. Whereas you said he's in comedy films.
Yeah.
So-
But I do think it's a really good film for the time that obviously it's like 27 years old. And it is a good storyline. Yeah, I'd want the ending to be different, but that's just me. But overall...
What would you rate it then?
That's tricky.
Out of 10.
Now, this, in my head, the rating does have to go on the satisfaction of the ending, and the ending wasn't that satisfying for me, personally.
Right, okay. But try not to lean too heavily on that. So think about all the other things we discussed about the characters, the scenery, the way that the shots are done, things like that. Bear in mind, it's not always about, is it a happy ending or is it not?
No, but it has to be how I feel at the end of the film.
No, yeah, so
feel.
your overall enjoyment, I know that, but...
And that sucked most of my enjoyment out, because I was like...
Right. Am I going to be, like, really disappointed in what your answer is? I'm very scared about what you're going to say, but just be careful.
It's not a 10.
Okay, that's fine. I wouldn't say it was a 10.
Okay, well, what would you say it is?
I would say probably a high 8 going on a 9, I think.
Okay. It's above a 5.
Right, okay.
So, are you less worried now?
No, not really.
I'd probably be like a 7.5.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll take
that.
It is obviously, like we said, for me to focus on, but I know we can't live in a happy world all the time, but I think it was more just how I felt at the end of the film was like, investing my time in these characters and then all of them have died. Apart from Mr. Pink in my head, who's got away scot-free, he was my least favourite character. I even preferred Mr. Blonde over him.
Isn't that a bit of a reflection of, in a way, somehow, people get away with, they can be alright arseholes, and yet they still get away with it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And the ones who don't deserve it get the...
Like poor Mr. White.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a solid film, and to say its age of the film, it doesn't look like it's aged. Luckily, because it's that kind of film, it's
not relying on CGI, it's just pretty much people, so... But
it is action. You've got an action film where nowadays you'd have to have the big explosions and everything like that.
Like 600 grand.
Yeah, which you don't need in this film actually to make it a film, because you've got so much dialogue and so much concept in the story.
Yeah.
That's what intrigues you, and it did intrigue me.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you've taken that away. That's great. that you...
So I ain't disappointed you?
No.
Okay, that's good.
7.5, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with that then.
Okay.
Just because you were disappointed in the ending, but that's fine.
Yeah, it would have probably been... I really was intrigued and was really involved in the film.
Yes.
Until it got to the ending, when it all unrevealed itself. And I think I probably would have given it an 8.
If that wouldn't have happened.
If that hadn't happened.
Okay, so by half a point, so that's fine.
So I know there's probably a lot of controversy with what I've said about this film, and there'll be lots of people out there that think this is like you yourself, that it's a really highly up there rated film and that it's iconic and such.
But this is your opinion, and I'm glad that you voiced what...
There'll probably be some people thinking she doesn't even know what she's on about, but it's just how I feel at the end of films. That's the main...
that's fine. Absolutely fine. Thank you.
Glad I haven't disappointed you.
No, not yet anyway.
Not yet, no. There'll be one film where I'll be like, this is shocking. It will happen.
I'm sure there will be, but that'll be for another time. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to Sophie's thoughts on Reservoir Dogs.
Hopefully you're not too annoyed with my response or review on it. And if you do have any recommendations of any films that you think will probably get me even more bitter and twisted, then please let us know. And if you do want to be nice to me, you could put a really good film in there that I haven't seen. Now, that would be appreciated.
So, thank you once again for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.